So we're demonstrating 3 different techniques using watercolor pencils. So the first technique is to use dry on dry. So fill in a shape that has been pre-drawn with the color pencil on dry paper. Once the initial color is laid down, a secondary color can be added on top to achieve color mixing. For this leaf, we're going to shade the right side, adding a burnt umber on top of the green. Once the pencil has been laid down, to transform them into watercolors, take a watercolor brush filled with water and gently add water on top of your layers of colored pencil. And now you have blended washes of watercolor. So another way to work with watercolor pencils is to work with a dry pencil on a wet area of paper. So fill in your pre-drawn shape with water. So just gently running your watercolor brush over the area you're planning to paint. So once the paper is wet, take your dry pencil and just run it over the areas that are wet. And you will see that this produces an initially darker deposit of pigment than you get with dry on dry. Again, a second color can be added on top to achieve color mixing. So again, we're going to darken the right side of our leaf. You can always go back and add more water if you'd like on top, or if you feel like the paper is getting too dry. A third way to work with watercolor pencils is to work with a wet pencil on dry paper. So for this, I'm wetting the tip of my watercolor pencil directly with the brush. You could also take your pencil and dip it into water if you wanted to. So once the tip is wet, you then take it and draw on your dry paper, and you will see that we get an even darker deposit of pigment than we have with the previous 2 techniques. So as your pencil gets dry, just add more water. And as you play with them, you'll start to discover fun other techniques. So just by accident, we got a few splatters on the paper, which to do on purpose is kind of fun. Get some nice texture. So again, wet the tip and then onto dry paper. This can be done on either dry paper or also by pre-wetting the paper. Wet again, and you get really nice thick deposits of pigment working wet pencil onto wet paper. So to summarize, there are 3 different ways to start that you can use colored pencils that are watercolor pencils. Dry on dry, dry on wet, and wet on wet.